excited to be joined by a new on the music scene in some ways, with first official single coming out. It is Damien Jones. Hello, Damien. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. You?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thank you very much. My
Good.
flat seems to be invaded by flies at the moment, so I feel like I'm spending a lot of time chasing flies. That's what's
You
going on
need
in
a
my
few
life
spot.
right
You need some spiders in there to
Yeah,
catch them.
that's it. I need to welcome in the spiders. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about as exciting as my life is currently.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry to hear that.
hey ho, hey ho. How about you? What's been going on? You've not long released your first single. Is it a first official single, or did I just?
Yeah, first one ever. Um,
Yeah.
and that's been like a lot of work. I didn't kind of underestimate, or maybe I just didn't know like what kind of went into the whole process. So it's been a really, really cool like learning curve, but really time consuming as well. So it sort of feels like turned into this like marketing kind of person, which is like, a side shoot of what I actually want to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so time consuming. Doing it yourself, trying to then turn the song into a product and market it. Like
Yeah,
it's a lot of time. I feel the pain.
yeah,
It's worth it
definitely.
though in the end, but yeah, it does take a lot of time. But we will get into your song and chat a little bit about it,
Cool,
more in depth
cool.
a bit as well. But yeah, let's take it back a little bit. Let's find out a little bit more about you. Introduce you to everybody. So I first met you. We were just talking about this before we came on here. Um, a couple of years ago, we're thinking. So I used to run an open mic
Yeah,
night, an LGBT open mic night at the Apple Tree in London, in Clerkenwell kind of area. So this does feel like such a lifetime ago now as well, with the last year that we've had. When I,
yeah.
when I used to run actual gigs and meet people, meet strangers in bars and listen to their music, that was really fun. But yeah, you came along a couple of times, maybe once or twice, I can't remember, but you came and
Mhm.
played there, which was lovely to meet you there. And
Yeah.
what was your uh, yeah, what's your journey kind of been from that point then? So sort of doing the open mics, and I think it was mostly covers you were doing, but maybe you had some originals at that point to where you are
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Well, back then I was really kind of inexperienced with playing the guitar and singing at the same time, or just didn't have the confidence. So I used to sort of, was quite coy about it, but just did covers. And I just thought I've always loved to sing in some way, whether that's in like a school band or I'm in a theatre group as well.
Okay.
And I was in a little acoustic duo with a guitarist. So, but I was just like, well, I'd just like to just do some stuff on my own. So, um, I didn't really think about writing stuff. I just wanted to sing. And then, just not probably around the same time that we met, I thought, oh, I'll just dabble in some songwriting because my vocal coach teaches songwriting is at a couple of universities, and he sort of planted like the seeds to just try it. So the first song I wrote, which was with the song title Life Jacket, and it was about my grandma. And surprisingly, for a first song, it just came really, really, really easily. Um, and since then, everything seems to be a lot more harder. Some songs come easily, and some just never get finished. But because of the lockdowns and Corona and all that type of stuff, obviously the last year I've kind of had a fair bit of time on my hands with obviously not going out, and I went back to Australia for a few months, which is where I'm from, and was on my dad's farm with cows and horses and stuff. So I had time to kind of like just, I guess, feel inspired, to use a kind of a bit of a cliche, but just to feel like my head had more space to kind of be creative,
Mm.
um, which was really, really great. And it kind of proved to me that actually I'm the type of person that likes nature and like feels inspired to be around, you know, air and trees and all that type of thing.
You
So that
spent
was a
some
really
time. Sang to some cows as well, didn't you?
I did this cover of two songs, Girls Just Want to Have Fun and I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney. And they loved it. Because apparently cows like music. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I have heard this. You know, I was actually I don't know if I told you this or not, but I was kind of I never did a video, but I was kind of inspired by watching your video. I was at my parents' house and there's a field, it's up in Scotland
Right.
over the summer as well. And there's a field right beside where they live, which had some cows in it. So I took my guitar out and tried it out. I did play and they did all like stop and like come close and start like
Yeah.
peering over and looking at me. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're music lovers.
Yeah. Since then, I've stopped eating red meats
There you go. Big
because
change.
I thought if I'm going to sing to them, I can't eat them.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fair. And how have you
Yeah.
felt coming back to London then? Are you missing nature or are you managing to still get nature into your life?
I'm missing it, I must say. I need to kind of be more proactive with finding my little happy place. With all the lockdowns and stuff, I've gotten quite comfortable at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to sort of pull the finger out and just kind of get out there now. But sadly, I can't really get home at the moment, which is quite sad.
Mm. How
Yeah.
often would you be back home usually?
Once a year, usually. Christmas is generally the time I would go, but now I don't know if you've heard about the hotel quarantine. So if I go there, I've got to quarantine for 2 weeks at my expense, and the flights are well over £1,000 to get there as well. So that doesn't help. So it's pretty costly and time. Uh, yeah, I'd need a lot of time to actually get there.
I know. Remember
Sadly,
when travel was easy, remember, we never knew how good we had it, right?
I know, I
I'm just
know, I
desperate,
know.
desperate to fly away. So how long
Yeah.
have you been in London then?
I've been around London for like 15 years,
Oh, long time.
which, yeah, when I say that out loud, I think, wow, like that time is just like flown
Yeah,
like that. I
that
can't
happens
really
in big
believe it.
cities. I think in London it happens. I'm sure all big cities will probably be the same. But yeah, time just like
Yeah, I blame relationships. They sort of they you get you meet somebody and then you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm here for the time being until we break up.
there you go. Yeah, yeah. That's it.
And then
Blame.
you're like, well, I'm single again, so I want to be in London. And
Yeah, I want
then
to
yeah,
mingle.
yeah,
Do your relationships provide you with good songwriting material at least?
yeah, of course, of course, of course, absolutely. All
That's
those little things that were said to me at different points still stored in here.
hmm That's it. You should never date a songwriter unless you want
Yeah,
to appear in a song at some point.
exactly, exactly.
Have you ever had anyone ask you if you are in one of your songs? Has that conversation come up?
Yes, it
Were you
has.
honest or
My answer is I just think life experience shapes your perception of the world, right? So it may not necessarily be about a specific person, but it's about the overall experience of just loving or whatever, or being hurt or betrayed or whatever it is.
hmm Yeah,
And sometimes it's not exactly like one song is just about one particular person at one particular point in time. Like my dad is always asking me, so what's this about? Like, and I'm like, well, nothing specific, but don't read into it that much. Some songs are like that, but others aren't.
yeah, yeah. That's it. Well, I guess because if you get uh, too personal or too like specific, uh, then it maybe doesn't appeal to as many people, and like everybody interprets songs in their own way as well. You know, you've got to be a bit of mystery sometimes in lyrics as well. I think.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah, there's a couple that I have written that are very, very personal that I don't even think I would want that person to hear.
mm,
It's just to create, just to kind of get it out somewhere.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And how about your identity and kind of queerness, and how does that feed into into what you put out in the world?
Yeah, I must say that a couple of years ago, I was very reserved, I think, about talking about being gay.
Hmm.
And I don't really know why. I think, yeah, I've tried to reflect on that recently because I got to a point kind of a year ago. I thought, no, hang on, why am I not truly myself online when that's kind of what people love to see at the end of the day, like when you're your authentic self. And I wasn't really being that. Um, but now I think it's step by step, little by little, filtering into like, especially like when I was thinking about, oh, how do I market my first song? And I'm like, oh, I'm a gay artist, actually. Like, I'm going to celebrate this because I'm proud of being gay. And sometimes I talk about stuff on my Instagram, might be like ghosting, or like I did a little video about Pride Month and why it's needed. And so, and the response from that is actually really positive when people send me messages and leave comments and stuff, and just kind of made me wake up a little bit and say, hang on, I've got a platform here that perhaps somebody could engage with, like just to keep that ball rolling of awareness, and to keep it in people's minds, and to also say, well, look, this is who I am, and if you want to like engage with who I am, then great, I'm all for it. So I think it's filtering through to kind of like the marketing, or the kind of the persona or the personality element, um, and looking ahead to kind of songs that I'd like to get produced. It's interesting that my tastes have become more perhaps gay friendly, in the sense that, like, it's difficult to articulate what a gay sound is, right? But there's a kind of like a general vibe that I love, that I grew up with, that my friends love, and that we all kind of would dance to in a club or a bar. Or so I'm kind of little by little venturing into um that aesthetic, and started to write about some stuff um, more privately, with, because there's some personal stories that um, maybe I will share or maybe I won't share. But it's a process. I think it's like an onion for me. It's first it was sort of really difficult, and little by little, like kind of getting to the core, I think, slowly.
Ah, that's great. Well, with that, I mean, that's songwriting is totally a process. I think
Mm.
and I think it's nice once you get a song out there, and however long that process takes, it's captured a moment in time for you, and like
Yeah.
whoever listens to it is going to be a memory that you'll have as well, and you've got something that you've made that's out in the world, and that you will get, even if it's millions of listeners or just a handful of listeners, even if you get one person that kind of connects to that song in some special way, like it makes it all worth it with all the
Yeah.
hours you put in trying to promote it and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah. That's true.
it's a nice thing about that. So yeah, tell us a little bit more then about this song, your first release, "So Hold Me," which congratulations on getting it out. A very catchy tune, I have to say, very summer.
Thank you. Yeah, I wrote that last year back on my dad's property back home. I had like, my phone is full of voice notes of ideas and little hooks and melody lines and just different words. And there was the one thing I had, which was "Hold Me Like You Own Me," because I was like, I think I was frustrated once in the past. I just felt, like when I was with this particular person, like, I'm not asking for much. I just want you to like to just show me, like, you know, how, you know, grab me and like show some passion and hold me like you own me type of thing, like just come on. So that kind of, that little line was in my head. And then when I went back to Oz last year, I had time to kind of develop some ideas, and that song was one of them. And I just kind of had this idea of like being, you know, when you want to give somebody everything, but you're aware that you're giving somebody everything, but you don't want to give somebody everything because you don't want to be the submissive one, but at the same time you do want to give them everything because you want them to love you. So it's this like really messed up headspace. So I was like, just hold me and control me, like, you know, I just want to be loved, like this sort of friction of like, I'll do anything for you, but at the end of the day you're still bad for me. So that was sort of what drove the idea. And Ed Sheeran inspired the song, actually.
Okay.
Just because I was trying to emulate some of his sort of, I don't know if you would call it, you know, his early music was quite rappy. So I was trying to and failing to kind of do that, and then that kind of kickstarted this song, just sort of riffing over a few chords.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can kind of hear that in it. And who did you work with then, kind of in terms of like producers and that side of stuff?
Yeah, I found a guy called Jake on Instagram. I'd never worked with a producer before, so it was the first time, and I had, you know, I know a lot of musicians, and I kind of had a bit of an idea with lingo and, you know, music and blah, 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 but actually doing it and having sounds in my head, I'm like, okay, how do I get them here from my head out of my mouth into his head for him to understand what I'm talking about? So I messaged him on Instagram and said, hey, you know, I'm in Oz at the moment, I'm coming back to London, do you want to work together? And he was like, yeah, sure. He was like really cool and laid back about it. I'd heard some really horrible stories about working with producers. So I think as a first timer, being so naive about it, I was really lucky to find him, because he really took a lot of time to explain stuff to me, and I would always be asking really like not naive questions, but I just wanted to know, like, you know, when you're talking about these things to me, what does that mean? Like, don't just tell me that you've got to take out, you know, the low end. I mean, what does that mean? Like, can you explain it? Otherwise, how am I going to say it, you know, articulate that again? So anyway, we worked on the song for ages because we couldn't meet because of COVID, and he was living with his family, and I was in London, and so there was lots of WhatsApps and Zoom calls, and me kind of like making literally noises with my mouth as to how I imagined sound to be, or like writing it phonetically like a chum sound or a sound. Not really knowing what they're called. So that took a long time, but that was really cool experience. And just even one song really kind of got me going in terms of knowledge.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, take like the first time working with a producer, you need someone who is like that, is like who's patient and kind of gentle in a way, I guess, and like able to kind of explain and guide you,
Yeah.
or and guide out of you what you want the sound to be.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just totally overwhelming as an
Yeah,
experience.
definitely.
So that's good. Sounds like you found a good one. Are you
I
planning?
did.
Are
I
you planning
did.
to
I'm
do more
lucky.
together, or?
We've got another one that's been recorded, and we've done the vocals as well, but we have to mix it properly now, and I need to figure out kind of where I want to go with it. Like, it's all done, but you know, when you've got everything recorded, you're like, okay, so what do I keep? What do I, you know, how do I want the finished piece to actually sound? And it's very different to my first song. it's very summery, but it's quite like Jason Mrazzi. It's got like a ukulele in it. It's very upbeat, happy, positive type of song, and very layered with different harmonies and vocals. So I need to figure out how I want that to sound, which is hard when you listen to it a few times. Your brain kind of gets used to it, and you're like, oh, hang on, I can't look at this anymore objectively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just step back from it sometimes and then be like, okay,
Totally.
that's what it
Yeah.
is. So you've mentioned a couple of artists there, so Ed Sheeran, Jason Mraz. Is there anyone else that's really inspiring and influencing you at the moment, or?
Well, I've always been a huge Madonna fan,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that she influences me in every way, in terms of just being a bit of just experimenting and just like doing stuff for the sake of it, and not being not having to justify to anyone. It's just because you want to do it, and just also, I work an office job, so I'm determined to make use of my time when I'm not working, right?
Yeah.
So her kind of ethic and ambition and all that drive has actually always inspired me throughout life, but particularly now because it feels a bit more relevant. But aside from her, I love classic stuff like Motown music, but modern artists like Taylor Swift, I really love. I love Maisie Peters, UK artist. She's really cute, and I think she's a great lyricist, pop lyricist. So I'm kind of like trying to delve into more cleverer, smarter lyric writing is kind of what I'd like to develop. Instead of maybe writing exactly as something is, and maybe being a bit more playful or ambiguous, I'd like to explore.
Get those metaphors.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, love metaphor me. And well, speaking of the one and only Madonna, we're gonna hear a bit of a live cover that you did, I believe, of Madonna. Can you tell us a little bit about this? What we're gonna hear?
Yeah. Well, because of lockdown, like last year, the many lockdowns, I was home a lot. And I always wanted to do a cover of a Madonna song, but I wanted to kind of do it in a way that wasn't just sitting, with the guitar. And I wanted something that was quite unique. So basically I made a video which is on YouTube, which has 9 window panes of me doing different Vogue poses, kind of, so all lined up in a grid of 9. And then with that is loads of harmonies and lots of backing vocals, and that call and response type of thing that the song has, and lots of whispers and the rap, of course. And it's my favorite Madonna song. And because it's a song that's purely synthesized in its original creation, I wanted to do something that was entirely different to that. So that's why I chose to do that on the guitar, but then layered all the different harmonies. And I'm really actually happy with how it came out. It was lots of fun to do. And I kind of like, I had this idea that I would, I was dressed in a suit, and I kind of was trying in my head to kind of almost emulate like the whole video, right? But the outtakes, which no one ever saw, are just horrendous. And I realized that throughout a lot of it, I was just like trout pouting without realizing, and then kind of did a full take of the song, and then I'm like, oh, what am I doing with my lips? So that wasn't included, so I had to redo it.
Oh no.
But
Well, I think you
yeah.
should release the lip footage at some point. You have to pay for
Right,
that, I guess.
deal. Yeah, put that on some sort of online subscription account.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard of these. Yeah. Hey, well, it's the way to make money.
Apparently so. Apparently, yeah.
Um, Speaking of kind of singing live, performing live, then, so have you been getting out there again, doing any live stuff? Is that on the horizon?
A little bit. I mean, I did a little last minute gig down the London South Bank at the weekend, actually, at Gabrielle's Wharf.
Nice.
That was quite cool. I'm not actively out looking, to be honest. I'm just sort of not putting stress on the situation and just doing things kind of when the time's right.
Yeah,
I might get out and do some more open mics again, and
yeah.
I'm much, much more confident now playing and singing at the same time.
Nice.
So that helps. And we'll see. I'm not. It's not my main source of income, but it's my passion that I guess I'm very invested in. So I don't necessarily need to be out gigging every weekend to
Mm,
pull in the money, but I need to kind of just take one step at a time, which is what I said earlier, which was about the marketing stuff and how time consuming it actually is to kind of like make content. I hate using that word, and then learning how to edit it, and then having to like learn how to use Photoshop, and then like learning how to, use YouTube and of all the other things that it just takes time.
yeah,
So a bit by bit.
yeah. Little steps for sure.
Yeah.
I'm feeling very much the same at the moment with the live stuff. I'm just not. I definitely want it to happen again, but I want it to happen kind of on my own terms. And I think actually in previous
Mm.
life, I was running so many nights and trying to do all these gigs that I'd be traveling for ages to get to, and like would be knackered, and you know,
Mm.
some of them were great and it was fun, and I got to meet lovely people like yourself at some of these things, but
Yeah.
also, yeah, I think I've found another way of doing some of that stuff online as well, which I've really appreciated. And um,
Yeah.
I guess I want live stuff to be kind of like special. I think that's what I'm thinking in my head now. I want it to be something when I'm ready for it, and something that really appeals instead of just doing it for the sake of it. Um,
Your stuff's because it's really well like it's produced, right? So would you want to do your stuff as a produce, as in you want it to sound like it does on the recording, or with live band, or would you do it, strip it back acoustically, or
yeah, very good question. Well, I think kind of similar to what you were saying about your you kind of finding that maybe sort of new sound for you that's more produced and kind of gay in some ways and pop in some ways. That was very much what kind of happened to me with my EP that I recorded last year, and very similar in that I'd recorded it and then was about to kind of get it out in the world, and then COVID happened. So I've never actually had the chance to perform it. Um,
mm,
so yes, I'm not really sure actually what I would have done if that hadn't have happened. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, I guess I would love to do some stuff with a band. Doing stuff with a backing track is very much not me in terms of like before it was always just me and the guitar. Um, but yeah, you never know really. I think I'd be kind of open to exploring all different things. I guess it also depends on the type of gig you're in as well. If it's the setting is nice and intimate and kind of acoustic, that's probably my comfort zone. But if it's
mm,
more, maybe a club situation, if we ever get back into them, then yeah,
yeah.
throw me a glitter ball and some go-go dancers, and I'm there.
Well, I love your EP, and all the songs on it I thought were great, and I can really, really imagine them in that club with the glitter ball and the go-go boys.
Thank you. Well, you can come along. You're very welcome when that happens.
Great, great.
Let's hope it happens soon.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming to chat to me. What else should we watch out for? Have you got any dates for future releases? Anything to keep in mind, or do we just
I've got a remix of Hold Me, which is coming out probably in a month,
nice?
which is very like Pet Shop Boys Erasure kind of sounding.
Okay.
Very Stock Aitken Waterman, late 80s UK type of pop, which is what I grew up listening to. So there's that. And then the second single, hopefully middle to late August, if I pull the finger out and finish it. And then some darkest, not darker stuff, but more somber stuff as the weather starts to get colder.
Oh, very good marketing. That, yeah, very good.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Well, very excited to hear what all comes next, and yeah,
Thank you.
here's hoping for a reunion in some sort of real life at some point.
Defo.
Fab. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time and your music with us, and we will see you again soon. Thank you, Damien Jones.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye. Bye bye.